Good day everyone, and happy Indian Arrival Day to my fellow Trinbagonians. In Trinidad and Tobago, we commemorate Indian Arrival Day on May 30th of every year to celebrate and remember the arrival of indentured laborers from India to our shores and the long-lasting impact they had on our country, society and culture. Of course, this has some deep meaning to me because, as you know, I am of East Indian descent, as you can see, trying to represent. So I hope you guys will enjoy this little video. A little history, but nothing too detailed. After emancipation, plantation owners wanted cheap labor to replace the newly freed slaves. So they used the indentured labor system, where they would bring in laborers from another country and they would work for a certain amount of time for little pay. Usually it was about 5 years, after which they had the option to return to their country of origin. And India was an attractive option to source these laborers, as the climate was similar to the Caribbean and the population was already accustomed to hard, somewhat menial labor. The first ship, the Fatel Razack, arrived in May of 1845 after taking that long journey. Just imagine it, from India around Africa. The Suez Canal wasn't open yet, so they have to go around Africa, across the Atlantic, then to reach Trinidad. A journey that took months. Accommodations were terrible, disease was rampant, and a few of these laborers actually died on that maiden voyage. When they arrived, they were quarantined on Nelson Island for a few weeks, after which they were assigned to plantations throughout Trinidad. The indentureship program lasted from 1845 to 1917, and over that period of time, over 140,000 indentured laborers arrived to our shores, and their lives on these plantations was not easy at all. Every aspect of their lives was controlled by the whim of the plantation owners. They had no freedom of movement. To leave the plantation, they needed written permission. Gatherings was discouraged and their culture was suppressed. And the slightest infractions was met with severe punishment, from extension of their indentureship to even imprisonment. But through it all, they survived. They worked hard and they kept their culture alive, so people like me could enjoy that culture and connect my heritage, our heritage, back to India. As mentioned, after the indentureship period ended, there was the option to return to India. But it wasn't as straightforward. It was extremely costly and usually resulted in the extension of their indentureship so they would be able to pay for their passage to go back to India. Overall, only a small percentage returned to India. The majority remained and built a life for themselves in Trinidad and Tobago. And I, for one, am happy they did that. So, what impact did such a large migration of people from India coming to the shores of Trinidad and Tobago have on the country overall over history? Let's talk about it. The first major one, of course, would be religion. Two major religions in Trinidad, Islam and Hinduism, could trace their roots back to the indentureship program. As you saw in my last video, we celebrate Eid in Trinidad. It's actually a public holiday. And of course, Hinduism is a major religion in Trinidad and Tobago. The Hindu calendar is full throughout the year of events and festivals. Of course, the major one that everybody in Trinidad, I think, celebrates in some form is Diwali, the festival of light. My wife and kids are Hindu, and I have such beautiful memories of celebrating Diwali with them. You can actually check videos on this channel of me and my daughter celebrating Diwali here in Jamaica. And even leading up to Diwali, there is Ram Leela celebrations held all over the island. My son and my daughter both participated and acted in the plays acting out the Ramayana. Oh, and the Indian weddings. Indian weddings are the best. It is so festive. It takes days for all the different rituals. It's like a celebration of the culture, from the traditional wear to the food to the tassa. I mean, I love the tassa, which is a good segue to the other big contribution, the music. From the different musical instruments introduced to Trinidad that we use in our prayers and all the different festivals, like the sitar and the harmonium, and of course the different drums from the dolka and the very famous tassa. general, the Indian diaspora in Trinidad has had a larger impact on music, from chutney music to chutney soca, and it's very common even in carnival parties, or what we say carnival fetes. You would play soca and chutney music and chutney soca together. It doesn't even stand out as being different. And of course there is the food, and that's a major thing I missed about Trinidad. Everyone in Trinidad has a favorite roti shop, and in those roti shops you should be able to get normal sada roti, dal piri roti, paratha, or what we call bus up shot, like a shirt that has been burst up, bus up shot. All those different kinds of roti in Trinidad. It is just fantastic. And then of course there's the other delicacies like sahina, baigani, aloo pie, and of course the most famous street food in Trinidad, doubles. Can't beat doubles, and everybody loves doubles in Trinidad. Then of course there is the Indian wear that you see all over Trinidad in prayers, other functions, and everyday life. You would see people wearing their Indian wear, from the saris, the kurtas, the shalwars, all those different things. Then of course there's the different names and certain words we use in everyday life that has survived through the generations. Although we don't speak the Bhojpuri Hindi anymore, certain words, as I said, has survived, such as family names like Maharaj, Maharaj, Singh, Ali, Muhammad. The list goes on. My name, Partap. These names of course came from India, and also the names of towns and streets and whatnot in Trinidad like Barapur, Faizabad, Calcutta Settlement, Ramai Trace. All of these are Indian sounding names. And growing up in Trinidad, I would use certain words for certain things around the house. Only when I got older I realized are Indian words. Like I grew up saying aloo instead of potato. When you're making roti and we're rolling it out, we don't say rolling pin, we say bilna. And that piece of cast iron that you make the roti on, we call it a tawa. And when we cook dal, we use something to swizzle it. And even that word, dal, we don't say yellow split peas, we say dal. So as I was saying, when you make the dal, you use a swizzle stick. We don't say swizzle stick, we say dal gutni. Alright, so these are all words that I grew up saying, and when I got older, I realized they're Indian words. And other than the organic cultural impact the Indian diaspora has had on Trinidad, there are major religious organizations like ASJA and SDMS that has had a major impact on general society. Positive impact, I must say. Both organizations has represented the needs of the religions but also the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and have taken it a step further where they've built schools and they have community outreach programs. Both of my children attended Hindu schools. They were fantastic schools where they participated in cultural events that connects them even more to their heritage. So I'm very thankful that these organizations exist and the impact they have had on the country. But to me, personally, the biggest impact that our ancestors from India had on Trinidad and Tobago are the people. Like me, they are descendants that continue to call Trinidad and Tobago home. We are thankful that they took that long journey and came to Trinidad, that they put up with all of the hardships over the years, and they kept their culture strong and alive. So I could now be part of it and pass it on to my children and the next generation. So all of these things I mentioned is actually a very small part of the larger contribution the Indian diaspora has had on Trinidad and Tobago. That is why it is so important, at least once for the year, to set aside some time to remember our ancestors and their contribution and how they have set us up for success for the future. Now, if you ask me what I am, I will always say I am Trinidadian, but I cannot deny that my heritage is of Indian descent. And there is something about Trinidad and the mixing of all of these cultures that is just so beautiful. We don't pay attention to it day to day because it has become normal everyday life to us. But as I said in the Eid video, in most villages in Trinidad you will find a church, a temple and a mosque, and we all live together in harmony. That to me has always been a beautiful thing. So again, happy Indian Arrival Day. Remember to keep yourself and your family safe so we can celebrate again next year. And as always, remember, like the video, to subscribe, comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. What? What have you said in some class, girl? What?